I just want to say a couple of minutes about why I have maybe some credibility about standing up here and spending a little bit of your breakfast with me this morning. First off, like you, many of you, I started out in a family business. I picked and packed boxes, went on sales calls with my father, accounts payable, accounts receivable, you name it, I did it in the family business. And then I struck it out on my own, and I have had a wonderful career of over 30 years across the energy and automotive services and food and grocery and convenience retailing businesses. And I built brands. I've re-energized ancient ones. I have run thousands of stores, and I have built hundreds of stores across the United States and the rest of the world. So, like you, I have sat at the crossroads sometimes wondering, what is this future all about? And how do we start to figure out where we start to go with our offers, recognizing potentially we're in the midst of setting our business up to hand it off to the next generation, or you're an executive thinking about where is my next growth opportunity. One of my favorite quotations is, "The future is here. It's just not evenly distributed." And I know in my career and my success comes from the fact of being able to cherry pick and make a few bets. Fail fast, but also scale quickly as well when it works. And I'd like to give you some insights this morning about not only the process I used to be successful in my 30 years as a C-suite executive, but also as I'm using today to build a business helping folks like you figure out how to untangle what makes you great today and build on it, as well as figuring out how to invest in the future as you remodel and build new stores. None of us knows what the future is going to look like. It has lots of different ways that things could evolve. One thing I do know, though, is that we're probably at the crossroads of a bit of a revolution. And at any revolution, there's hope and there's fear. I'm not going to spend time talking about the fear part. I've certainly spent many countless sleepless nights as an executive thinking about what was going to be the changes in the energy business and the fuel mix business and convenience retailing and food and how it was going to evolve and what was going to happen with the consumer, pandemic or not. What I'd like to actually focus is on the hope part, because there is so much runway for growth in this business. And you are successful today. Absolutely, you're in this room. You wouldn't be in this room if you weren't awfully successful. But there's ways to actually future-proof your offer going forward, and I want to give you some insights about what I think that looks like. In order to set it up, and some of the ways that I work with myself and my teams in the past and clients today, is I actually spend some time actually talking about the vision for the future. Because it's hard to understand where you're going if you don't actually know the way to get there and have a view about where that is. And sometimes that vision can be kind of cloudy, but over time it emerges as somewhat of a clear kind of crystal ball. So what business will I be in 10 years' time? What will I be known for with my customers? And how can I future-proof my offers today, recognizing that things are changing? These are 3 questions I would like to give you some insights on and a point of view over the next 15 or 20 minutes. So I mentioned I have a crystal ball. It's probably not as good as you. Some days it's more foggy than others. But certainly I think there is something about the fact that if I was to paint a picture for this business and travel centers going forward, you are a restaurant. And I know many of you in this room are going to say, wait a second, Polly, I already am one. And I'm going to push you a little bit this morning to say, are you truly one? I know many of you have your own food service offers and are being quite successful. Some of you have done wonderful jobs with QSRs and partners that help further drive traffic and profitability to your business. I would like to say that over the next 5 to 10 years, you're probably going to have to go further. I'll give you some insights and perspective about what that might look like. But one of the things I want you to think about is that today you actually manage and operate most of your fuel business. My hypothesis or my suggestion to you going forward is the fact that you should be thinking about the same thing with food. That you should be controlling that supply chain. You should be controlling that offer. Maybe not all of it, but some of it. And you should be moving your business in that direction. So let's talk about some examples. I love to give examples and give an outside-in perspective about who's doing really well and maybe some ideas for you about how to get started. Whether you're doing it really well to take it to the next level, or you're doing it pretty well and you'd like to figure out a way to own more of it yourself, or whether you're just getting started. This is Egg Tuck. This is taking Los Angeles by storm. They're now starting to expand that about the country. It's delicious, right? I've had one. They're outstanding. It is the simple idea about all-day breakfast. Basically taking a brioche bun, a cage-free egg, and a special mayonnaise sauce, and then figuring out actually how to, it's delicious, it's portable, and then figuring out 15 different ways how to make it multi-day part, so you can eat for breakfast and lunch and dinner and snacks. And you're adding avocado to some, you're taking away the bread in others, you're adding short ribs or bacon to others you're doing just plain because it's delicious. 15 different ways to take a simple egg sandwich, a delicious quality egg sandwich, and make it ownable and distinctive for your business. They're doing a great job. It's not only Instagrammable, it's absolutely delicious. Let's talk about made-to-order beverages. Made-to-order beverages are hot. Cold made-to-order beverages are even colder hot, or hot or cold, however you want to describe it. There's everybody, it's exploding. Why is it exploding? 80% margin. Pretty easy to actually create the menus, offers, and operate it. Everybody's getting into it. Obviously, McDonald's just opened their Cosmics, their first store in Bolingbrook, Illinois. I want to talk a little bit about Sheetz, my former company, Gecko Cafe Market, where it's both, we really moved aggressively into alcoholic made-to-order beverages and had great success building our business, our made-to-order beverage business, both alcoholic and non-alcoholic. So let's talk about who's doing it really well. Sheetz has probably the ones that actually pioneered it. They own the made-to-order drinks in their area. They have the highest share in their area for made-to-order cold drinks, and it started with a milkshake program. Wawa has taken Florida by storm. So for those of you that spent any time in Florida 10 years ago, there was no Wawas to be seen, and today I'm sure they're close to #1 market share if they're not already #1 market share now. They've taken the storm, and their made-to-order drink business has become a destination for them, building their food business along their way. And here's the menu from Cosmics. And I want to go back to this idea that you don't have to have a complex proprietary food service program to actually get started. It is basically made up of a handful of fruity drinks, a few less cold coffee drinks, and then all-day breakfast. And their breakfast, too, much like Egg Tuck, has an elevated bun. It's a brioche bun. They use an egg patty that has more air in it. It feels like a little bit more of a quality egg patty. And then they use some delicious bacon. But this, and it's a drive-through offer totally, and I'll talk about formats a little bit later. But this is a great example of how they are actually thinking about and leveraging and attracting Gen X and Gen ZY with a relatively simple menu, simple build program, but very compelling and a big hit in their first store. I'm also going to say to you that as you think about beverages in your offer and you think about where you want to be in the next 5 to 10 offers, I'm going to be somewhat controversial in our industry and talk about alcohol. Single serve alcohol. You all are already selling alcohol, But instead of actually having the drivers or whoever take it to the car and drink it, or sit in your seating areas and drink it, it is about creating delicious, made-to-order drinks, both alcoholic and non-alcoholic. Convenience retailers are getting into it. You'll see this starting to emerge as a major trend and a destination. And we at Get Go Cafe Market did as well. It went from being $0 to $1 million in sales in 2 months. It was that hot and that welcoming from our consumers. It also allows you to actually get into private label and begin to design offers that actually are both that actually proprietary to you. There are a lot of your I'm going to talk about local in a couple of minutes. There are a lot of local craft brewers and where you market an area that would love to partner with you and be able to use you as an outlet to help build their brand and provide synergies for your retail store. The other thing I'm going to say is focus on AM and PM. You know, most of our coffee areas, self-serve coffee areas, become deserts after 10 a.m. And we dedicate at least 10% maybe of our floor space, maybe slightly more to these beverages, but there's nobody there. So as you start to think about new designs, and I'll talk about this when I get to the third question about new formats and how to future-proof your offer, really thinking about destination AM and PM coffee areas that allow you to do self-serve, but also made to order. You don't have to do this alone. There's great people like Jess, who we're going to introduce as one of our panelists. Jess Williams is culinary expert. Some people I've worked with, JBH Advisors, who actually have food hall in a kit. They have brands, they have a single production line, multiple proteins, multiple day parts. You don't necessarily have to say, I have to do this from scratch. So there are options out there about how you begin to build a proprietary food and beverage program along the way. So how will you know? This is some of the insights that I would give you about whether you're really on your journey to becoming a restaurant in terms of your vision for your business going forward. Your culinary team is your number one most important asset. You spend as much time on that as you're actually building the capability within your fuel team, your operations team, and your merchandising team. 65% of your non-fuel sales is food and beverage, non-package. And you're headed on your way to close to 70 and 80%. You are a restaurant. Majority of your customers think of you as a destination for food and beverage, and 25% of your own personal time is in test kitchens and talking to your customers about food and getting your hands into and being actually understanding the culinary opportunities and beverage opportunities in your business. So let's go to the next area. Let's talk about what will I be known for our customers. And this I would like to, again, I'm kind of looking into my crystal ball. There are 5 areas that I think is really important to think about in terms of being distinctive into the future. And I'm going to give you some examples of some of my favorite retailers who are doing this really, really well. Local. I think this is a huge opportunity for the travel center industry. Some of you are doing it super well. Some of you are not taking advantage of it at all. One of my favorite examples actually comes from across the pond. This is Tea-Based Services, and they call themselves a farm-to-fork travel center. And basically, it is a farmer's market of goods. How many of you have a local farmer's market in where your travel center is located? Raise your hand. I would argue that those that didn't raise your hand, you do have one. You just might not know about it. What a great way to actually figure out crafts and food and other merchandise that would make your destination special. T-Bay is doing an excellent job of bringing all those elements together in terms of really creating a local destination for lorry drivers and motorists as they move into the lake, go to the Lake District in North Cumberland. Mouth-watering. Dom's Kitchen is one of my favorite it's hybrid grocery convenience. They're located in Chicago. They have 2 stores. They're expanding to 2 more stores. They have really figured out how to amazing merchandising and bring packaged goods together with mouth-watering food to go. And the way that they do this is they use refrigerated bunker cases. So for those of you that are kind of familiar with the grocery industry, bunker cases are kind of your favorite merchandising tool, right, throughout your store in terms of how to bring refrigerated product and fresh product to and help upsell for packaged goods. Dom's does an outstanding job of it. One of my suggestions to you in terms of thinking about how to future-proof your stores is actually to add more refrigerated cases on the floor. You already are destinations for single-serve beverages, packaged beverages, whether alcoholic or non-alcoholic. Bringing them to the customer, provide more floor space and ability to be able to have customers enticed of bringing food and beverage together. Dom's does a great job of it. Aldi, I want to talk about discovery. So we talked about local, we talked about mouth-watering. I want to talk a little about discovery. Not probably the example that you would think I would use in a travel center future format. Aldi is viewed as a place, it's a hard discount grocery if we use the grocery terms. These are people that live and die about bringing the lowest quality product on a pallet that you have to bag yourself at the checkout area. But they are creating a brand that is much about giving customers what they want in terms of price, but also in terms of unique finds. When I visit your stores across the country, and I'm a big travel center customer of yours, I miss discovery. I see walls and walls of electronics. I see walls of crystal figurines. And I say to myself, what is really special about this travel center and where I am, whether it's Georgia or Kentucky or Texas? Aldi has figured out a way how to do this, even on a national scale. They have Aldi finds both in the store and online. So this is a snapshot from just before Valentine's Day last week, where you could buy a plastic gummy bear and some Valentine's socks. This was a social, they sold women's fabric slides for $35, and it was absolutely, took social media by storm. Like tea-based services, like Dom's, like Aldi, there is a way to bring a distinctiveness to your travel centers and your merchandising that makes you very special and makes you a destination for you and for your customers to come to you versus skipping over some others. Retailtainment. This is my last example in the buck. I think Buc-ee's, and I know I haven't been to a Wally's yet, but I know both of those are actually kind of transforming entertainment in what a typical gas station or a travel center or a truck stop might look like. I am a big Buc-ee's fan. And initially, before I had went to one, I was kind of, as a C-store retail executive, I kind of waved my hat and said, oh my goodness, that's just a lot of bluster, and there's not, a big hat, no cattle, some of my Texas friends might used to say to me. But after, I'm a fan. I'm a huge customer when I'm on the road and traveling. I'm always keen to see what's next and how they've reinvented themselves. What's sitting in the front of the store that, whether it's a campfire, portable campfire, or a Buc-ee's chair, or a phone holder, or whatever else they've decided to put Buc-ee on. There's a smile that can't come across my face. They do discovery, they do retailtainment, they do theater of food really well. Can all of us become Buc-ee's or Wally's? No, we can't. But there is an element that makes you super special in terms of your local areas. And if you're a chain in this room, there's a way that even a chain that is crossing the country has figured out how to put Georgia cutting boards or figured out how to put pecans in the Georgia store versus other products potentially in the Kentucky or Tennessee store. There are ways to switch up your merchandising that makes it local, that makes it shoppable from trip to trip and destination to destination. Let's go to the third question. How can I future-proof my travel centers now that you're modernizing, you're remodeling or you're building new, and what might that look like? So here's my crystal ball again. I think there's 4 things. One is you're not just a truck stop anymore, and I'd like to talk about that. 2, there's something about seating and actually becoming a destination for people that want to enjoy and linger in your store, which I believe for a lot of folks or in the past that have been counterintuitive. You want people to get up and get out of there. Restrooms. It's talked about a lot, but I have a suggestion for you. And then real estate penetration, something I call fish where the fish are. So let's talk about the first one. You're not just a truck stop anymore. No idea, no idea what the future fuel mix is going to be, recognizing that you all have to, make bets in terms of your area, what's happening, how is the industry shifting or whatever. One thing I do probably can see when you think about the future is unevenly distributed, but it's here, is the fact that you probably don't want to be viewed just as a truck stop anymore. So then the question I have for you is, how are you thinking about your image? And there are some people who are doing it today. While on their cantilever canopy, they've been leading the industry, and their Newport, Rhode Island kind of New England fronted store, they have been doing that deliberately for some time, about setting themselves up for the fact that they are a restaurant. They're not your typical C-store. Because when you see a flat canopy, what do you think? Even though you might not be able to see the brand on it, you think it's a gas station or a truck stop. So the question is, how are you setting, you're building facilities now that are going to last for the next 30 or 40 years. Shouldn't your canopy and potentially your building structure be something you're thinking about who you want to evolve to, even though you might not exactly know what it looks like? Sheetz is also starting to experiment with a canopy design. This is actually a Northwestern hospital in Chicago, and before I left Gecko Cafe Market, we were actually thinking about not only a cantilever type canopy, but also an underneath canopy decal that would start to actually provide some kind of ambiance to a customer, no matter what happens to the fuel mix, or those are electric charging underneath that, or just parking spaces down the road, that it would last and stand the test of time. Meet, relax, stay, inviting seating. I mentioned this is kind of counterintuitive. There's different views. In my 30 years, I've been to 1 million value engineering sessions where people want to take costs out of the building. The first thing they do is pretty much take out anything external in the building that just isn't the brick, usually. And then the second thing they do is typically get rid of any superfluous type fixtures, which is usually seating. I am here to say that if you are a restaurant and you're trying to future-proof your offer, seating has got to be an important part of it, and it can't just be institutional seating. You want people to linger in your store. Many of you are starting to contemplate parking as a potential option for a future revenue stream. Do you really just want people sitting in their trucks or their cars, or wouldn't you rather actually have come into an inviting AM and PM fit kind of facility and seating area to buy more goods, linger? Wouldn't you want to be a destination for your local customers as well as your travelers? Seating is an important part of that. And there are some people who are doing it really good. I've used Dom's Kitchen. It's a really AM, PM. They use lighting and different types of fixtures to make it multi-dimensional day part. And then Astor Hall, which is a food hall in Chicago, that does a really great job of AM and PM type seating. Restrooms. I would suggest, particularly in this category and this sector, that if you don't have a chief merchant of restrooms, you're missing something. Restrooms, 60% of Technomics, which is a market research firm that I used in my past life and use today, who is a renowned market research in the restaurant and QSR industry. 60% of the reasons, and pick your number, you guys have all seen the numbers, 60% of the reasons that people choose you right off the bat is because of your restrooms. But this is another thing that over time, people think is superfluous. Let's make the stall smaller. Let's reduce the stall, eliminate a stall. Buc-ee's does a really great job of restrooms. I don't think anybody can deny that. Spacious, wide, nobody has to wait in line ever, some level of privacy, and then they even dial in the local part with the local art as you kind of enter and exit the restroom. Multi-occasion offer and formats. What I mean by this is, in this chart, the 4 sectors of convenience, grocery, quick casual, which is kind of the slightly different type of menu set with Starbucks and Shake Shack and Sweetgreen, and then quick service, which all of you are very familiar with, the QSRs. And the idea of this slide is actually there are people that are starting to move out of their sector and capture share. Wawa and Sheetz, probably in the convenience retailing space, are doing the best. They're actually really moving into proprietary food, both in made-to-order beverages, which is kind of the quick casual group's MO, and then into quick service. They are doing a really terrific job. Whole Foods is talking about and has announced that they're actually going to create smaller formats, smaller Whole Foods, so they can capture more market share. Why am I talking to you guys about this? Is that actually you have, and some of them are in the room, actually have competitors who are coming in like Quick Trip with a Q, like Trip with a K, like particularly Sheetz, but they are actually coming in and becoming you, little mini yous, right? They're adding 4 or 5 diesel islands in the back. And as somebody who was building those herself in my tenure at Giant Eagle and Get-Go Cafe Market, why? I get significantly increased inside sales without, other than adding another entrance to the box. 2, the diesel margins are so attractive that my payback on the facility is 1 year faster than if it's just a regular convenience store selling gasoline. 3, it also future-proofs the offer overall. So my question to you all is, a lot of you have multi-formats. You have convenience stores and truck stops, but a lot of you also have just kind of zeroed in on the truck stop travel center offer. My suggestion to you is think about real estate and share in your marketing area and potentially open your eyes to different formats that might capture that customer with your brand and your offer and help keep some of these other people away from stealing your share. So none of us, I'm at the conclusion stage, and I want to bring up my panel here in a second. None of us know what the future is really going to look like. Might look like something like this in terms of what the future might look like. But what I've tried to do today is cover 3 areas. And again, these are some of the areas when I work with my clients now, using my experience and then obviously everything that is happening in their business. It's about having a vision for where you want to be in the next years. It's about assessing what makes you great now and how to build on it and actually make it even better and more distinctive going forward. And being able to take what you do now and using some of those things like local and mouth-watering and discovery to make you a super special destination spot based on what you're already doing today. And then advising them about remodels and new builds and the program that they might want to put in there. One of the things I was always known for in my career was I always made my numbers, top line and bottom line. And I can assure you I am a pretty practical, realistic person, even though I'm talking about the business going 10 years out. And so you have to be grounded in reality, but you have to be willing to try some things, but also have a plan B if they don't work. So if you've installed a food service area and it's now become unproductive, what are you going to do with it if it doesn't work? So that's one of the things that we program in is the flexibility to make sure that you can trial and learn, but also continue to make your numbers and continue to build a strong business, even as you begin to build some of the capabilities I've talked about today. If you want to reach, I'll be here all day and then tomorrow morning, but Polly at Flinnstone Strategies.